Gamers don't have to be your audience. Gamers are over. I'm sure most of you are at least familiar with this title. Since it was published in August last year, it's been mentioned quite a few times. Lee Alexander's article annoyed a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. For example, blaming gamers and games culture for harassment and threats. Something that I think was slightly overlooked though was her talking about creating or curating culture on community hubs, which I think is just a very flowery way of supporting a tighter grip on who may use forums and what they may say. I'll show you the bit I'm talking about, regarding businesses being mortified at harassment, and how it's the public face of the games industry, but it not being representative and only being a few bad apples. She wrote, "Yet disclaiming liability is clearly no help. Game websites with huge community hubs whose fans are often associated with the blunt Twitter hate mobs sort of shrug. They say things like, 'We delete the really bad stuff, what else can we do?' And, 'Those people don't represent our community.' But actually, those people do represent your community. That's what your community is known for, whether you like it or not. When you decline to create or curate a culture in your spaces, that fucking word again. They should just start talking about the video game realm, or the plane of joysticks." Anyway, she says, if you don't do that, you're responsible for what spawns in the vacuum. That's what's been happening to games. Apparently, light moderation on video game forums is what causes Twitter hate mobs, or at least causes them to be associated with gaming. Here I was thinking that was more to do with lying, sensationalizing press. But apparently you need to curate a culture in your space to get rid of that. Whatever that means. I imagine the vagueness is a way to avoid accusations of megalomania. On top of discussing forums or community hubs, Lee also discusses content creators and their fans in a more direct way, and she suggests that there is a new generation that's very different, but it's unstoppable. A new generation of fans and creators is finally aiming to instate a healthy cultural vocabulary, a language of community that was missing in the days of gamer pride and special interest groups led by a product guide approach to conversation with a single presumed demographic. This means that over just the last few years, writing on games focuses on personal experiences and independent creators, not approval-hungry obeisance to the demands of powerful corporations. It's not about being a reviewer anymore. It's not about telling people what to buy. It's about providing spaces for people to discuss what and whom they support. So human experiences, love and peace, supporting people, not deferring to corporations, not being a reviewer. What else did she say was changing? These strawman game journalism ethics conversations people have been having are largely the domain of a prior age, when all we did was negotiate ad deals and review scores and scraped to be called reporters, because we had the same powerlessness complex as our audience had. Now part of a writer's job in a creative human medium is to help curate a creative community and an inclusive culture. I can feel myself relaxing already, and a lack of commitment to that just looks out of step, like a partial compromise with the howling trolls who've latched onto ethics as the latest flag in their onslaught against evolution and inclusion. So, unless I've read all this wrong, which I don't think I have, Lee Alexander's line last year was, "Suck it, gamer bros. Everything's getting personal now." Places that people can talk online need to be manipulated from above in order to have a healthy, inclusive atmosphere, a positive, supportive, curated community culture, one that won't spawn harassment and threats, which is what comes out of you dirty nerds self-identifying gamers. And writers, yeah, don't worry about ethics, that's from the past. Now it's all about personal experience. It's about supporting things and people. Games writing's gonna get, I guess you could say, intimate. As a description and prediction, I can't say her piece was entirely inaccurate. We've seen and continue to see this weird journo personal experience coverage, where it's about them. And it sucks. But obviously, I'm not just bringing up this old piece just to say that. Yesterday, Lee Alexander posted a piece of writing on Medium. It's called The New Intimacy Economy. And it turns out, she doesn't seem to like lying in that bed she made. She starts off by talking about just how creepy Facebook can be. And I totally agree. When something like that tries to treat you like a buddy, it is creepy. Feels like a mousetrap. But then she talks about celebrities and supermodels on Instagram, and finally reaches herself and other writers. Regarding internet intimacy between writer and audience, she writes, "We believe that on some level these relationships develop organically, and that they involve a component of sincerity. When I was targeted by an online hate group last year, sales of my little digital book, a relatively niche product, some personal writing related to a single video game conference, rocketed. Certainly it's possible that the increased visibility caused by the episode naturally brought more interest in my work, but I think it's more likely that by spending money on me, people felt they were fighting evil. It wasn't entirely that they respected my writing or my opinion, they wanted to cheer on a public personality that they felt close to. This sounds like she doesn't like that. Isn't this what she was advocating last year on an industry website? You don't want gamers as your audience. You want people who are all about personal experience and making spaces to talk about whom they support. She's done it. She's got it. Her mentions on Twitter are the space where her audience can talk about supporting her. Now that is culture, and she curates it carefully using blocks. She's really made something beautiful. My social media feed is often flooded with virtual hugs, high fives, unasked for encouragement, cheering on, and other variations on, "You're a badass female character," she writes. People retweet this article without reading it because they trust me and because they want to make me happy. Despite the trials of being a visible woman in a complicated field, I am actually pretty confident in myself, thanks, and it troubles me to be treated as a pal who needs a lot of slaps on the back from strangers. But it's the language of community, isn't it? Isn't this what she wanted? I'd like readers who respect my opinion. Fuck off. I'd like readers who respect my opinion, not wannabe friends who are seeking my acknowledgement or validation. So you'd better look up to her, but just do it in the right way, don't be clingy. But that's just how things are nowadays. Well, this is the future you curated. I am not special. I could be anyone. I'd prefer to make money because my work is good, not because... not because people believe I need help or cheering on. But I'll take the money where it comes. She cannot help it. She has to shit on everyone. I have a bunch of people who really like me and have given me money, but they did it for the wrong reasons. Fucking stop. This is too much. People take this person seriously. This person takes themselves seriously. So she wants to make money off of how good her work is, not people feeling sorry for her or cheering her on for her gender. Let's take a look at the last piece of hers I read. It's from back in May. Pokemon ghosts are still fashionable, still spooky, and it features this stunning snippet. You should visit her Tumblr to see the skirt and bag. They're not for sale or anything but Pokemon Ghost Crafts, you guys. You should visit her Tumblr. Okay, so it's not a haiku. She's managed to get some kind of attention from people one way, and now she's not happy with them. She wants them to like her for a different reason. Something they wouldn't have followed her for in the first place. Because when it comes to that, she doesn't really stand out. You know what? I've had an epiphany. Lee is no mere human being. She is the embodiment of something. When Lee Alexander wrote, "Silly kids, I am game journalism," she was right. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.